It's a regular morning. You turn the key, no warning lights, no surprises. The odometer is well past 200,000 miles and the car still feels tight, calm, dependable. You didn't buy it for status. You bought it because you were done replacing cars. That's what this video is about. 5 Lexus models you can buy cheap, drive forever, and never feel the need to replace. The kind of cars that quietly outlive trends, payments, and expectations. Most people don't even know this Lexus exists, and that's exactly why it works. The IS SportCross showed up in the early 2000s when Lexus tried something strange, taking a compact luxury sedan and turning it into a wagon without telling anyone to care. No hype, no marketing push, no sport wagon crowd chasing it, just a quiet, practical Lexus that accidentally became one of the most durable daily drivers the brand ever made. Under the hood, you're dealing with the same naturally aspirated inline-six that made the IS famous. 215 horsepower doesn't sound exciting today, but that engine is smooth, overbuilt, and allergic to abuse. Paired with a 5-speed automatic that refuses to die, this thing will tolerate missed oil changes better than it should. Real-world fuel economy sits in the low 20s combined, which is reasonable considering its age and weight. Ownership is where the SportCross earns its reputation. The driving position feels familiar if you've ever owned an old IS sedan, but the rear hatch changes everything. Bikes, dogs, road trip gear, Home Depot runs, all without sacrificing the tight steering feel that made the IS popular. It's one of those cars you start using for everything because it never complains. The known issues are refreshingly boring. Front suspension bushings wear out, valve cover gaskets seep oil, coil packs fail one at a time instead of catastrophically. None of it is expensive, and none of it leaves you stranded if you catch it early. A mechanic will tell you the same thing every time. Buy the cleanest one you can, check for rust around the rear hatch, and listen for clunks up front. The biggest buyer mistake is expecting modern tech. The screen is dated, the interior feels old, and Bluetooth wasn't a priority yet. But once you accept that, you realize something important. This is a car you stop worrying about. You don't baby it, you don't plan its replacement. Clean examples usually trade between $5,000 and $9,000 depending on mileage and condition, which is absurd considering how long they last. The ideal buyer is someone who wants Lexus reliability, but needs real cargo space and doesn't care what their neighbors think. And the funny part is this, if you think this wagon is rare, the next one Lexus made makes this look common. Let's start with the problem first, because that's how real buyers meet this car. Most people skip the Lexus GS 350 because it looks too normal, not aggressive enough, not flashy, not new feeling. And that's the mistake, because normal is exactly why it survives longer than almost anything in its class. Here's the ownership reality. You buy one, you drive it every day, and nothing demands your attention. No warning lights chasing you, no weird transmission behavior, no fragile turbo plumbing waiting to bankrupt you. The 3.5-liter naturally aspirated V6 makes just over 300 horsepower, but more importantly, it makes power without stress. It doesn't spike, it doesn't surge, it just works, quietly, for years. The 6-speed automatic is a big reason these age so well. It's conservative, slightly slow by modern standards, and mechanically forgiving. That's exactly why high-mileage GS 350 cars still feel intact. Real-world fuel economy usually sits in the low to mid-20s combined, and it doesn't fall apart when driven hard or lazily. What actually breaks is boring, and boring is good. Water pumps can seep, suspension bushings wear. Some interiors from certain years suffer from melting dashboards or aging infotainment screens. None of this strands you. None of it snowballs if handled early. A mechanic will tell you the same thing every time. These cars come in for maintenance, not emergencies. Inspection advice is ownership-focused, not fear-based. You're checking service records, listening for suspension noise, and confirming the car hasn't been modified. Mileage matters far less than consistency. A higher mile example with documented care is almost always the smarter buy. The biggest buyer mistake is expecting this to feel like a German sports sedan. It won't. It's calmer, heavier, and more mature. But that maturity is exactly why owners keep them past the point where most cars get traded in. Market prices usually land between $9,000 and $15,000 depending on year and condition. The ideal buyer wants a luxury sedan that fades into the background because once a car stops asking for attention, you stop thinking about replacing it. And here's the twist. Once Lexus figured out buyers wanted durability and efficiency, they built something that changed the game entirely. All right, quick pause. Grab your phone, hit subscribe, and tell me in the comments which city you're watching from. It helps the channel way more than you think, and it keeps videos like this coming your way. This is where most buyers get the story wrong. The Lexus RX 400h looks like an early experiment, something you'd expect to age badly. Early hybrid, complex system, luxury crossover from the mid-2000s. On paper, this should be a nightmare. In real ownership, it's the opposite. Start with the engineering philosophy. Lexus didn't build this to be cutting edge. They built it to be conservative. The 3.3-liter V6 works alongside an electric motor not to chase speed, but to reduce stress. That matters. The gasoline engine rarely works hard, which is why these powertrains quietly rack up mileage without drama. Combined output is around 260 horsepower, but what you feel is smooth, effortless acceleration, not urgency. Fuel economy is the payoff. Real-world numbers land in the mid to high 20s combined, which still embarrasses many newer crossovers. Owners notice it most in city driving, where the hybrid system does its best work and the RX feels strangely relaxed in traffic. Now, the part everyone worries about, the hybrid battery. Here's the reality. These packs age slowly, fail predictably, and are far more durable than internet forums suggest. Many last well over 200,000 miles. And when replacement is needed, refurbished options have changed the math entirely. This is no longer a financial death sentence. What actually goes wrong is much more ordinary. Suspension bushings wear, wheel bearings hum with age. Cooling fans for the hybrid system need to stay clean. A smart inspection includes checking hybrid warning lights, verifying smooth transitions between electric and gas power, and making sure the rear electric drive engages properly. The buyer mistake is assuming this drives like a sporty SUV. It doesn't. Steering is light, ride is soft. This is a comfort-first machine meant for long ownership, not excitement. Prices usually sit between $6,000 and $11,000 depending on mileage and battery history. The ideal buyer wants quiet efficiency, Lexus build quality, and zero interest in replacing their car every few years. And if you think this hybrid was tough, wait until we get into the Lexus trucks that refuse to quit. No matter how badly they're treated. Spend 5 minutes around long-term Lexus LX 470 owners, and you'll notice something odd. Nobody talks about upgrading. They talk about trips, miles, and things they've towed that probably shouldn't have been towed. This isn't nostalgia, it's trust. The LX 470 is built on the Land Cruiser platform, and that explains everything. The 4.7-liter V8 makes around 260 horsepower, but numbers don't matter here. What matters is how understressed it feels. The engine loafs. The 5-speed automatic shifts slowly, deliberately, like it expects to be around forever, because it usually is. Fuel economy is bad. Let's get that out of the way. Expect mid-teens on a good day. Owners accept this because the trade-off is durability that borders on absurd. This is a vehicle designed to survive remote parts of the world, then wrapped in leather and wood for North America. The ownership experience is defined by weight and isolation. Doors close heavy. The cabin stays quiet no matter the road. You sit high, see everything, and feel completely removed from stress. It's not fast, but it never feels strained, even loaded with people or gear. The famous issue everyone brings up is the hydraulic suspension. Yes, it can fail, and no, it's not a deal breaker. Some owners maintain it properly and enjoy the ride. Others convert to standard suspension and never look back. Either path works if you budget correctly. Timing belts must be done on schedule. Ignore that and you pay dearly. What doesn't fail easily are the axles, the transfer case, the frame, or the engine internals. Rust is the real enemy. A clean frame matters more than mileage here. Market prices usually fall between $12,000 and $20,000, depending on condition and maintenance history. The ideal buyer wants one vehicle that can do everything and hates the idea of planned obsolescence. And if you think this one is unstoppable, the next Lexus takes this formula, simplifies it, and somehow becomes even harder to kill. Here's the Lexus most people buy by accident and keep forever on purpose. The Lexus GX 470 usually enters someone's life as a compromise. They wanted a comfortable family SUV, maybe something reliable for winter or road trips. What they didn't realize is they were buying one of the most overbuilt, mid-size SUVs ever sold in North America. Start with what it's actually based on. This is a Prado underneath, not a crossover pretending to be tough. Body-on-frame construction, solid rear axle, low-range transfer case. Then, Lexus softened everything with leather, sound insulation, and a suspension tuned for comfort. The result is a truck that feels calm and civilized, but is mechanically prepared for abuse most owners will never dish out. The 4.7-liter V8 is the star. Around 260 horsepower paired with a 5-speed automatic that prioritizes smoothness over speed. It's not quick, but it's always relaxed. The engine rarely works hard, which is why 200,000 miles feels like middle age, not the end. Fuel economy lives in the mid-teens, and yes, you notice it, but owners stop caring once they realize nothing else is demanding their money. What breaks is predictable. The rear air suspension can sag with age. Some people fix it, others convert it to coils and never think about it again. Exhaust manifolds can crack and tick when cold. Radiators age out. None of this is mysterious or catastrophic. A good inspection focuses on suspension height, cold start noises, and frame condition. What doesn't break is almost everything else. The drivetrain is legendary. The transfer case just works. The interior ages better than most modern luxury SUVs. Buttons don't peel, leather doesn't disintegrate, and electronics stay boring, which is exactly what you want long term. The biggest buyer mistake is underestimating how capable it is. People buy it thinking it's just a nicer family hauler, then realize they own something that can tow, trail, commute, and road trip without changing personalities. Clean examples usually sell between $10,000 and $16,000 depending on maintenance and rust. The ideal buyer wants one vehicle that does everything well enough and refuses to replace cars just because the market tells them to. At the end of the day, none of these Lexuses are cheap because they're bad. They're cheap because the market moved on before they ever wore out. Wagons nobody noticed, hybrids people feared, and trucks that outlast trends. These are the kinds of vehicles you don't replace because there's no real upgrade waiting for you on the other side. Just more payments, more screens, and less substance. If you're shopping smart right now, these aren't compromises, they're exits. Exits from constant repairs, constant upgrades, and constant disappointment. Buy one clean example, maintain it honestly, and let everyone else keep chasing the next thing. I'll see you in the next one.